Hi, YouTube. Today I have a message for people pleasers. So, if that is you, then listen up. Putting yourself first is not an option anymore. It is not a choice. It must be done. This is really, really important, okay? This is not like, oh, wishful thinking. Maybe eventually I'll get around to this. No, you're getting around to it now. It's 2025, okay? Time is ticking. We're fixing this shit. If you currently self identify as a people pleaser, or you feel like this has been something that you struggle with for a long time, listen, I get it. I get it. I'm here with you. Like, we're recovering, okay? It's not always easy. It's something that happens to so many people where we end up falling into this trap of being a people pleaser. Working through this is absolutely essential to living a good life. I mean, your relationships, your money, like everything, okay? Everything is all tied up in with this. So, we're going to work on this and we're going to live better lives because of it. All right? So, let's get into it. So, first of all, maybe you're watching this and you're like, what does people pleasing mean? Basically, people pleasing is when you don't completely share your feelings or your opinions. You're kind of like muting yourself a little bit when you're around other people because you're afraid that they might not completely accept you if you were genuine and you were really sharing like what you actually thought about either the situation or what you thought about them, anything like that. And you might be thinking, well, of course I want to please people. Like, I want to be a nice person to be around. I want to be nice to other people. That is not the same thing as being a people pleaser. You can be wonderfully nice and generous to people, and I think you really should be nice and generous. But being a people pleaser is coming from a place of deep insecurity and not feeling like you are able to share your whole self. And why do you feel like you're not able to share yourself? Because you don't feel like people would like you if you completely shared yourself. This is a huge problem. When you are constantly afraid of not being liked or not being accepted by a group, this is when your behavior starts to change and you're like, well, maybe I'm not going to be honest with these people. I'm going to, just kind of be like, oh, yeah, 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 blah, blah, blah. Just be supportive no matter what, even if you don't agree with it or you're just not going to share yourself. So this is coming from this insecurity where you're like, I want to be accepted into this group. I'm not necessarily, maybe I don't think I'm good enough to be accepted into this group. And it is not on a conscious, rational level. On some level, you probably know that you are worthy of people's time and things like that. Like, you've probably been told that, and you're like, well, maybe I'm not a horrible person, so I'm worthy, right? But subconsciously, like deep, deep, deep in your brain, this belief has been planted. And because it is so deep, like where you're not even understanding that it's there, it's really affecting your actions in a way that you don't even realize. It's like when you're just going around living your life on autopilot, this is like kind of holding the reins and it's holding you back from what could be better relationships and better, more honest relationships. This probably came from a adult. It probably came from one of your parents or maybe an older sibling or something where they were just giving you some kind of impression or some reason to believe that you weren't good enough the way that you are and that you have to change yourself and like put on this mask in order to be likable enough to have friends and have people in your life, which is not true. But that's what we're going to work on. We're going to work on getting this out. So, the biggest problem with people pleasing, outside of the fact that it's just a manifestation of low self esteem, is the fact that it doesn't actually please other people. When you're people pleasing, it's annoying, okay? And I get this is hard to hear. This was hard for me to hear. So, I want to share a little story. So, a long time ago, I was going to hang out with some of my friends, right? And my friend was like, "Oh, where do you want to go? What do you want to do?" And I was being so evasive. And I was like, "I don't know, you pick." Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't, whatever's good with you, the people pleaser script, right? And he called me out. He was like, "Oh, well, we're doing this at this time because you're being such a freaking people pleaser and you don't know how to make a decision. So you're putting the onus of the decision onto me." And I was like, oh my God. I thought I was being polite and nice by not making a decision and letting you make a decision. But making the decision is work, okay? Like, my friend ended up having to plan the whole thing, and I felt super bad about it, but it taught me this lesson where I was like, people pleaser is like made up. You're not pleasing anyone. You're just being annoying. You're being inconvenient because you're not actually being genuine with these people. So it makes other people not respect you as much. Obviously, that's bad. And you grow to resent these people because over and over and over, you've been unwilling to share your true feelings when they ask you a question. And so then there's like this resentment that builds because you're getting frustrated and irritated because you're not truly like accurately expressing yourself. So it can just insidiously cause the destruction of all of your relationships because you're constantly wearing this people pleaser mask. So, if you want meaningful long term relationships, either with a romantic partner or a friendship, and honestly, even to an extent with your family, you need to stop this behavior. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you how to fix this. The first thing I want you to do is break out one of these or a pen and paper. Doesn't need to be complicated. You could do it on the computer, I suppose. And I want you to journal. And I want you to journal about these insecurities. So, first prompt is going to be, why do I feel like I care so much if this person is in my life? Because you're like, oh, well, I can't say this because what if they leave me? Right? What makes you feel like you won't be okay if this person leaves you? Let's think about that. Let's sit with that for a second. Also, if they did leave you, do you feel uncomfortable being alone? Do you feel like everyone would leave you if they just knew the real you? And why do you think that? Like, what's going on there? Do you think that you're too weird for other people? Do you think that you're not likable enough, not intelligent enough? So get specific with what these insecurities are and write them down. Because once you have them written down, it will help you see, like on a conscious level, like, oh my God, I really believe this about myself. I didn't even think that. I mean, like I felt it, but I didn't think it. And it will help you to understand what's going on beneath the surface, right? And then work through it. So you can look at these beliefs that you have written down about yourself that are negative, your insecurities, and think about someone who you really admire and someone who just seems really confident, and think about how they would react. So, for example, if you feel insecure and you walk into a room, you're probably going to have like really poor posture and you're going to be acting shy. You might act awkward. Think about how like Beyonce would walk into a room or something, like someone that you just think is like kind of larger than life and super confident. And then you're going to start working to replace this belief in your mind. And you can do this with affirmations, but also you are constantly teaching your subconscious who you are and what your identity is. So if you start acting in a way that is more constructive to this new confident version of you that is not a people pleaser anymore because you love yourself now and you can share yourself wholeheartedly, subconscious will accept this as the new truth, the new you. And then it will be easier and easier and more authentic to actually share yourself. Because at first it will be kind of awkward if you're like, oh, this whole time I've been acting and now I'm trying to be truthful to my friends and they're reacting weird. So you're just going to have to get past this transition period and really focus on the internal work here, and also acting as though you are this confident person. And eventually you will not be acting. You will be able to authentically express yourself, and it will be really beautiful and it will significantly help all of the relationships in your life. And you will feel more content and you won't feel this resentment towards people that they don't even know about, because that's not fair to them. And it's not fair to you either. It's just bad all around. So, to sum it all up, if you want people to respect you, you need to be confident about sharing your own opinions. And this is just the only way to have good, meaningful, close relationships. So, it is really a serious matter. I used to not take it very seriously, and because of that, I had a lot of life experiences where I felt like there was this distance between me and my friends and things like that because I wasn't being truthful with them. And so that's why this work is so important, and it really will change your life. So just keep at it, stay strong, and Don't be a people pleaser. Don't be afraid to share your opinions and be honest with people. And also, if they don't stay in your life after you share your meaningful, important opinions with them, maybe you should find better friends or find better people to spend your life with, because life is really too short to spend time with people that you feel like can't handle the real you. That's terrible. All right, I'll see you tomorrow.